All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. God bless you. Welcome. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we are yet rejoicing and we are glad in it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Word on Wednesday. Uh, Hope that you have had a wonderful day. Um, and you are ready for the lesson on tonight. I'm here getting all my devices together, making sure I have everything that I need together. So come on in, go ahead and share. Let's go ahead and get all of our logistics together, get our people in place so that we can do everything we need to do. I want to make sure that we're on. I don't know if I see us. I don't see us online. I want to make sure that we're on Facebook. Uh, uh, Making sure I can see us on Facebook, making sure we have everything that we need and we are live on Facebook. Give me a moment as we make sure that we, I don't know if I see us. I don't know if I see us. If you're out there, I don't see anything coming online. Okay, it's saying people are coming in. Okay, well, maybe it's me. Maybe it is me. But it's not picking up on my end, and I'm not seeing anything on my end. I wonder, are we? Somebody sharing? Are we on? Okay. Well, maybe I'm on the wrong one. Okay. I see us. I see me. I see me. All right. God bless you. I'm trying to make sure I got my stuff right because I want to look at you. I want to be able to make sure that I see it. Thank you, Brother Javen. You're saying we are live. Thank you. I see text coming in to make sure you're telling me we are live. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure it's my device and something's not going right on my device, but uh, I think I'm right now. And so I see you coming in. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss you as you would be commenting. And I don't want to miss any questions you are about to give. Or thank you. I see you saying you see me, you hear me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate those that are coming in. Go ahead and share, like and share, love and share. You don't just have to like, you can hit the love button. We love what we do around here. This is awesome. All right. God bless you. Look like I see Bishop Odungo on from Kenya. God bless you, sir. Appreciate you and all the other saints that are coming on tonight. God bless each and every one of you. Again, welcome to Word on Wednesday. And this whole month, we are um, making the mental health month awareness. We're making awareness of the awareness and making sure that we take advantage of this opportunity and this time to be able to uh, um, bring awareness to this um, situation or this opportunity we have for mental health. And we have had some great people on that's been talking to us, some people who are qualified and people who can give insight. And I appreciate them being online. And I'm getting ready to bring on our first guest, who is helping me to host this. He's been a great co-host, and so I'm getting ready to bring him on. And I appreciate y'all. Come on online. Make sure you get your people watching. Get your people watching. Amen. God bless you. God bless you, Brother Javen. It's good to see you today.
Well, God bless you, Dr. Kelly. It's good to see you. It's good to be in the land of the living.
Certainly, 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 certainly. Grandma called it the land of the dying on the way to the land
To
of
the
the living.
land of the living.
Yeah, but it's good to see you. Hope you had a great day today.
Yes, sir. Very productive. I pray the same for you.
Well, we make it productive. How about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We make it productive.
My
So,
excited is excited.
yes, sir. I tell you what, we have a wonderful guest. Last week, I'm telling you what, we were blessed with our guest last week and how she just came in and shared so beautifully in our subject matter. And I'm telling you what, I was fired up from that conversation that we had last week. And I'm saying, my goodness, how much higher can we go as we move forward? Miss Holiday was just simply amazing with what she brought to the table. But this week, we have one that is going to spread the table even more and thicken this conversation and take us to another place. So I want to bring in tonight none other than Dr. Sarah Reeves Houston. I want to bring on Dr. Houston tonight. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good evening, Dr. Houston. How are you?
I am blessed to be a part of this group this evening and to have a interesting conversation with individuals who sometimes don't always have the best information when it comes to this subject. So, just appreciative of the opportunity and blessed to be a part of the process.
Well, I tell you what, I'm liking your sound already. I don't know what kind of apparatus that is that you have on your
Uh,
head.
it- it's
Yeah,
just headphones. Keep out the background noise.
I understand. I get it. It's always needful. So I want our audience to welcome Dr. Sarah Reeves Houston. I want you to give her a new faith welcome. Amen. God bless you, Sister Beverly Dawkins Bowman, all the way from Virginia slash Washington area. God bless you. Come on, let's welcome her. Let's flood this timeline and welcome Dr. Houston to our Word on Wednesday. We have an honorable guest that is with us tonight. So they're pouring in. They're saying welcome, Dr. Houston. We are glad to have you with us tonight. Now we've been enjoying Javan. Javan is somebody. I don't think I have to tell you that. He
Jabin is a blessing.
He's a great blessing. And I thank God for our paths crossing and, what he has meant to me and his journey. His journey has been inspirational to many in our church and, of course, across this country. Listen, Kenya is welcoming you tonight. Bishop
Hmm.
Odungo is saying welcome tonight. That's our affiliation in Africa, New Faithful Gospel Africa. We just
Beautiful.
consecrated him back in April, and they're watching as well. So just everybody's excited to have you. But we've been enjoying Javen. Javen is a great asset to the kingdom, and his connection to you and not being afraid to share whatever resources he has, connections that he has to make sure that we get the best information possible. That's what I call tonight.
Hmm.
Listen, Tennessee is in here. All right, Gwen Bright, thank you for Tennessee. You're Keisha Tillman's friend. All right. Thank you so much and you've been on several times. I've seen you on before. Appreciate you so much being on. Thank you so much. Well, I want to give a formal introduction to Dr. Houston. I want to make sure, hey, you know what? They just tell me, when you have earned certain accomplishments and whatnot, you've paid a price to be where you are. I appreciate your humility. I really do. But you've paid a price to be where you are. So you're not asking for this. I'm doing this because I want to make sure I properly let the people know who we have here tonight. So Dr. Sarah Reeves Houston is the director of Behavioral Health Springboard at the UNC, that's University of Chapel Hill, New University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill School of Social Work. She has a PhD in education psychology major, and is finalizing her dissertation for a, what is that? PSYD,
PsyD. It's a doctorate of psychology.
psychology, doctorate of in clinical psychology. She has an MS in human development and graduate certificate in clinical addictions. Dr. Reeve Houston is certified in family trauma, child and adolescent trauma, and is an adult and teen MHFA instructor. Prior to joining University of North Carolina BHS, she was a faculty member at North Carolina Central University for 10 years, hey, HBCU, where she taught undergraduate and graduate courses in psychology and human development. She has over 15 years of experience in developing training and curriculum content focused on the treatment, intervention, and prevention of trauma, mental health, and substance use challenges for child and family systems. Through research and consultation, she supports behavior health organizations in recognizing, managing, and mitigating the impacts of trauma on client populations and service providers. So we do not have anybody that is a fly by night. We have somebody that is taking the time to do the work and walk this out, and has the degrees behind her name, and yet seeking more. And we appreciate you. And you just look like you're just 15.
Appreciate that, but I'm not.
Yeah, you've been going at it a great time, a long time. So we appreciate you on tonight. So tell me, Dr. Reeves Houston, um, what is your affiliation to mental health? How did you decide to get into, or maybe why did you decide to get into mental health?
Simple word, life.
Mm,
You have different experiences that you go through, and different things that you're exposed to over the course of your development and different contexts that you live and engage with different people. And my education, Javen and I've talked about this quite a bit. So I just want y'all to know that it is only by the grace of God that I allowed y'all to read all of that today because I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. Um, but my education and the things that I have learned have been my way of managing and developing a deeper understanding of the things that I've seen
mm,
and the experiences that I've had with family members and relationships in different settings and different phases and stages of my life. And so, where people have a tendency to go through things and deal with things at a very emotional level, I tend to deal with things more at an academic. And
mm,
so, the way that I have healed myself through faith is through learning and through expanding my knowledge base and developing a greater understanding. Because when you understand, it's easier to extend grace and you recognize the humanity that exists in all of us and how we are all just trying to figure it out. We're all just trying to press towards the mark. We're all have a higher calling and a purpose that's placed on our lives, but we're faced with different stumbling blocks that kind of get in the way. And some of them are meant to recalibrate our GPS. Some of them are meant to kind of, lay a foundation for growth and excelling. Some of them are meant to clear a pathway. Not all storms come to destroy, some come to clear a way.
mm,
And so through my learning and study of life and the experiences of individuals, specifically children and adolescents, that has brought me through the journey that I've been on through learning and spreading that knowledge. It's not just about what I learn and come to understand about life and the experiences I've had, but how I can help be a light to others, because we're not alone in this process.
Hmm.
I have never met anyone who has had the level of lived experience and not been able to find a level of connection with somebody else who has too.
Hmm.
So we heal through connection. We heal through relationship, and it is also through connection and relationship that many of us have been hurt.
Hmm.
And interestingly enough, it takes the relationship to heal the hurt that was caused by a relationship. And
Hmm.
so, understanding how to work through those things, how to manage those things. And those relationships come in different spaces.
Hmm.
They come in, parent child dynamics, they come in friend dynamics, they come in partner relationships, familial relationships, church relationships. But all of these are connections that we have with people. And being a part of the faith community, we recognize that none of us are perfect.
Hmm.
The only one that was perfect came long before us, and we're all awaiting his return.
That's
And
right.
so the rest of us are learning, and we learn best when we're able to do that together. So, like I said, I don't like the bios. I can't stand them. I
Yeah.
share them so that it provides some degree of merit to things, but it's my testament to being the work, not just learning it, not just doing it, but my ability to be it and embody it. And so that it comes forth in everything that I do. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
I just want you to know I have to chunk out what you say because you already have caused things to be loaded. So many things that you said already that I'm trying to digest or cipher through. Even
Mhm.
now, as you were talking about how some people deal with things emotionally, but you choose to deal with it academically through learning and not
Mhm.
not allowing your emotions to take over, but rather trying to educate yourself concerning
Mhm.
things so that you can know how to better deal with it. That is so powerful. That we channel things in a different direction, a
Mhm.
more positive direction. And then something you say, of course, preachers are still this, and so I'm gonna highlight it. You said, and people have already commented, not all storms come to destroy. Not all storms come to destroy. Some storms come to clear a way, clear a path, clear up stuff. So then you learn sometimes to appreciate the storm because it's coming
Mhm.
to get rid of debris and coming to show you some direction. That's another powerful point and
Mhm.
powerful statement. And I hope everybody is listening. I heard that as well. Jay even put it on there about recalculating our GPS. Very powerful. But I just like how you have just put a different spin on it, and all the things that you've learned and things that you did is just caused you to put yourself in a different posture to be able to help others navigate through these. And I want you to know we need you. We need those like you to partner
Mhm.
with the church, with people of faith, because that's such a big component that we're dealing with, where people have dealt with life and people have been affected by life and don't know how to get beyond life,
Mhm.
and they need those tools and resources and strategies and whatever, to be able to get through these things so they can be the best self, best person
Mhm.
they can be. Maybe sometimes with a scar that reminds us of it, but a healed scar,
Yep.
not an open wound, but a
Mhm.
healed scar that reminds us of what we've come through and how we're better. So I appreciate, I could say so much more, but that was loaded. Look, I'll have to go back to listen to it again to kind of write down what I need to write down. But this week, we're going to look at two places that we spend the most time. We're going to look at those two places we spend the most time. And we're going to talk about mental health as it relates to those places that we spend the most time. Listen, I see that they're really commenting on that. First point of discussion is the importance of good mental health in the workplace. Now, you know what? We
Mhm.
spend a lot of time at work. We spend a lot of time at work, sometimes spending more, maybe I should say, quality time at work than we do even at home or other places around our loved ones. And we want to look at how important is it having good mental health at our workplace. I
Mhm.
talk to many people. I know the job I have. I know what I deal with. I deal with God's blessed children, and I'm saying that on purpose. Um, his,
Mhm.
his blessed middle school teenagers,
Oh.
and it is a challenge. The whole educational system is a challenge.
Mhm.
um, Dealing with everything you have to deal with, and those that are listening, you have your own jobs. You know what you're dealing with. You know what you go through. You know the mental stress, that emotional stress that you have to deal with on jobs. And so I want to ask the question: how important is having good mental health at our workplace? There's several questions here that I sent. And how can we foster good mental health in our environment, at our workplace? And what can we do if our mental health is challenged on our job? So you can start in there and kind of go however you feel.
Okay, so I'll jump in. Um, Mental health in the workplace is absolutely paramount. We wear many hats over the course of our lives, and our work hat, depending on the type of job that you're in. You reference working in education. I work in education. There are a lot of jobs, especially those, and I do a lot of work with organizations in the helping professions.
Mm,
So they may be clinicians, it could be teachers, it could be medical providers, people in youth serving organizations. You are in a helping profession. That means that there's a gap. And part of your job is to help fill that gap. But we've all heard the phrase, you can't pour from an empty well. You can't, bleed from a dry turnip. If your bucket is not filled, you have nothing to give to others. And so when you work in an environment that is not conducive to having, support and resources around mental health, around well-being and things like that, you find that your work will drain you and you will have nothing left. And for many of us, when we come home at night, we're not coming home to empty houses and no responsibility. So we're coming home to additional people in our personal lives who also have needs and have things that they are needing from us. So
mhm,
if you work in an environment that drains you 150,000%, you don't have anything left to give to your children, to give to your partner and your family and those people who pull on you from a personal standpoint. So having, a healthy work dynamic, one that promotes wellness, one that promotes resilience, where you feel supported, where you feel appreciated and valued. And appreciation and value doesn't always come down to money and a paycheck.
mm,
Appreciation and value means that you have connections within your work environment where if you need a moment, you can go sit at somebody's desk and say, "Hey, I'm experiencing this and I just want to get this off my chest." Or, "Can you help me and support me with figuring out this particular issue?" Javen will tell you all the time, he'll come around that corner and just pop in my office. And it's not that he needs anything in particular, it's just the safety of being able to lean on somebody. And if
mm,
you work in an environment, I've already said, we heal and we thrive through relationships. If you work in an environment where you have no semblance of social support, no relationship, nobody that you can take a 5 minute walk with, take a 5 minute break with, a laugh, even potentially get a hug or a dap or something that shows that you have some degree of connection with somebody, that is going to weigh on you. We learned one of the things that we learned coming out of the pandemic is that we as humans do not do well in isolation. You know, we played that game pre-pandemic. If I was on a deserted island, what would you do? Girl, if you give me a book, I'd be fine. None of us were fine. We were not fine on our deserted islands. We were not fine isolated in our houses. We were not fine that we could not connect with people, that we couldn't talk to people, that we couldn't embrace people, that we couldn't spend time with our family and our friends, and even have the structure and the routine of getting up, getting dressed, and going somewhere. All of that weighed on us as a society and as a community, and we're still dealing with the residual impacts of that. And so, what we found in working in a lot of organizations right now is a lot of the uncertainties and a lot of the stressors that we have in our community are now being brought into the workplace because we don't have a way of really managing and balancing our wellness and our well-being in all the different contexts that we live and work in. And so it puts a level of pressure on our work setting because our work setting is essential. You know, you do need the check. You need the check to clear the light bill. You
Mm.
need the check to make sure that there's groceries and foods, no matter how little or small it is, that amount is needed. And so that puts another layer of pressure in terms of performance, in terms of expectation, and those types of things. And those things weigh on you from a social and emotional standpoint. So having that balance in your workplace, having those social resources and supports. I'm not saying that everybody's job should provide massages and yoga parties and things like that, because I feel like at the end of the day, that's superficial wellness. Those are just activities. It doesn't get at the heart of what it means to be in a supportive and values driven environment. And that is something that is very important. At BHS with my staff, you know, we engage in wellness through our staff meetings. We have flexible work schedules. I have an open door policy where people are free to come to me and talk to me about what they're needing, where they are. That doesn't exist everywhere. Those kinds of resources, those kinds of supports are not there. And so it puts a pressure on you as the individual to figure out, how do I balance my work, my home life, my child responsibilities? Some of us are trying to go to work, go to school, and deal with home all at the same time. How do I balance that and still meet all of the professional obligations so that I can get my paycheck? You
Mm.
know, those things, they weigh on us. And we have to look at how we can be a better support. I've told my staff a lot that I don't believe in self-care. I don't preach a huge self-care sermon because I feel like it's a we care. There are things that we should do to take care of ourselves, but there is responsibility that is collective responsibility that should be managed at the organizational level and at a structural level on how we support each other. You
Mm.
know, that's a huge part for me. And I think that those social supports and those resources are huge. But your well-being and your mental health in the workplace is just as important as it is outside of the workplace.
Javen, you want to? um,
Well, first, I would like to say I come from good stock. So everything she basically said, but I want to just add, as my director said, it's very vital to have good mental health at the workplace, because when employees are psychologically healthy, they tend to be more motivated, they tend to be more engaged, and they tend to be more productive in their work. And they are also more likely to be creative and innovative and contribute positively to the organization's success. So that's all I will add. I'm in class tonight myself.
mm. No, all of these are very good, and I like when she said, because all of our jobs sometimes we do potluck suppers and other things that we do, that we come together to just maybe laugh or try to kind of have camaraderie or whatever. But as you let us know, that's really not getting to the heart of the matter. That's just scratching the surface activities, you called it, uh,
Mhm.
to do. And we can go to those for 30 minutes out of the day, and then go back to a job where we still feel unappreciated and not valued and pressured in what we have to do, and not having an outlet. I really do agree in having an outlet is very, very important. I applaud you for having an open door policy where you're available for your employees to just stop in. Sometimes it don't have to be long, a couple
Mhm.
minutes or something, 30 seconds. It can be something, can just release yourself, and to know that you're there, to know that they can count on you. Everybody may not come all of the time, but it's freeing and liberating to just even know
Mhm.
that you have someone that is there for you. And I know the people are listening. I hope that you have shared your live and invited people. I see some people have put names in the chat. Listen, get them involved, get them online, whatever you've got to do. This information that we're listening to tonight is not something you will hear every day.
Mhm.
You may even have to go to a workshop, um, whether you're sent to it by your job or you pay for it yourself. This is a wealth of information that we're hearing, and I hope tonight that you are paying attention and that you're taking it in, and that this is helping you. And I would say that if you are in a toxic environment, that you need to reevaluate what you're doing. I know Dr. Sarah said that we need our paychecks, we got to pay the bills and all this kind of things that are going on. But what about the money, time, energy, nights up, can't
Mhm.
sleep, that we're spending because of this? Is it really equaling out? Is it really worth it? I've even heard of some people downsizing, downgrading to just get a peace of mind,
Mhm.
which is something that you really can't pay for. No amount of money per hour, no annual salary can replace a peace of mind. And that's something that we all need to make sure that we get a peace of mind. Um, I knew I was going to say something prior to going into this segment, because you had mentioned, sometimes we're hurt from relationships, and then we turn to other relationships to help us heal from relationships that we've been hurt in. And I heard you even talking about, even needing people on the job, needing people that can help you through and do. Some people get to the place to where, I don't need nobody, I don't want anybody. They get to this place of isolation that you
Mhm.
you mentioned, and that's something that is, I feel, that can be detrimental. And you can maybe talk about it a little bit, as much that the danger of just being isolated, not wanting to be around anybody and not wanting to talk to anybody. I don't need nobody, blah blah.
Mhm.
That's not a healthy place to be in.
Mm-mm. No, and that's actually it's a trauma response when we isolate like that.
Trauma.
It's a trauma response. So when you are in your brain can function in two spaces. You can have what we call learning brain. And when you're in learning brain, you're open to learning new things, experiencing new opportunities, trying out new things, taking, moderate risk, trying out stuff that you're supposed to try. The learning brain is open. The learning brain doesn't have a need to control its environment because we don't learn things that we already know. We learn because there's a difference between where we are and where we're trying to get. So there's a gap, right? In survival brain is when we tend to close ourselves off, and we're closing ourselves off as a way of protecting our minds, our body, our physical integrity from things that are around us that we can't control. And so the response to not being able to control the environment is to limit what you're exposed to so that you don't have to be exposed to things that you can't control. So that isolation that comes out of hurt, that comes out of trauma, that comes out of, different forms of adversity is a way of you actually responding. It's a defense mechanism, and we all do it from time to time. We all have periods of time where we retreat and we kind of remove ourselves a little bit to kind of get ourselves together, and then most of us are able to get back out and we go back into the world, we go back into relationship, we go back into different spaces, and we open ourselves back up to learning. But people who aren't able to kind of move past their traumas and their adversities, their circles get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's because they're trying to isolate an environment where they can control. We know in the faith community, how do we define faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. Those are things that we don't know how it's going to happen. But because we are in a place of safety in our faith or in the relationship or wherever we are, we don't worry about what's in the gap because we know that the gap is going to be filled. It's the same thing when we look at how we deal with adversities and traumas and things like that. When we are in a place of safety, we don't worry about gaps that are around us. We don't try to control the gaps that are around us. We remain open to experiences and possibilities and new opportunities and things like that. When we're not safe, we close off.
I'm typing. I hope that what you're going to have to do, people, as you're listening, you're going to have to go back and listen again because I don't, you can, maybe you can, I can't contain all of this powerful information. Um, so please go back and listen again. I'm trying to take as many notes as I can, but you try to close off what you can't control, and
Mhm.
it's a trauma response. I will
Yep.
never forget that
Mhm.
trauma response. So whenever people say I don't want to be bothered, that's their response to traumatic situation and going
Mhm.
into isolation and trying to find some spaces that they can control since they can't
Mhm.
control everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we confuse control with safety. And we think that when we can control our environment, then that means that we're safe. And that's not always necessarily the case. Night night. So when we are in a position where we can remain open and we're not trying to control everything, then we're open to learning new things. And my staff will tell you, I say it all the time, we can't learn what we already know.
Mm, I just fell out. I'm sorry. Go get a sheet and cover me up. We can't learn what we already know. I'm going to challenge the people to put that in the chat box, y'all. Y'all just please to make sure we get that. Put in the chat box. I'm putting it in mine. You
Yeah.
cannot learn what you already know.
I'm over here, the scriber in the live tonight.
Oh my God. You are valuable, Dr. Sarah Reeves Houston. You're valuable. It's flowing out of you, which says that this is a part of your DNA. It's every part of the fiber of your body is flowing uninterrupted, unhindered. You are valued and needed in the world, in the community, but I'm going to say in my space. We need sessions to try to get through this or whatever. Um, but you cannot learn what you already know. I'm just so taken. I'm trying to put this in there and put my spot in there because and listen, I'm gonna tell you how taken I am. I'm typing on my phone and clicking enter on my computer. you, my mind is blown. It's blown tonight. All right. Okay, I think I did it. I don't know. I may not. Okay, so we're going into session two. Now, you talked about it. You said, okay, we're at work, at our workplace or whatever, and we have all these things on us, and
Mhm.
we're depleted, we're drained because work pulls on us, people pulls on us, our responsibilities pull on us, and then we get home
Home. Mhm.
and we have others that are in need of us too. Others that are in need of us too. Those of you that are living that wonderful single life, you keep on and enjoy yourself while you're able. You come home to you, and that is wonderful. But you have others that need you. And it doesn't have to be people. You know, some people have animals,
Mhm.
and those animals, they want your love, they want your attention, but you come home, you're depleted, and you don't have anything. So we want to talk about that second place, because the first place we wanted to talk about was mental health in the workplace, how important mental health is in the workplace. But let's bring it home. Let's bring it home. Let's talk about the importance of having mental health in the home, because other than work, you know, we spend the most time at home. Work is, we spend our quality hours sometimes at work, our prime time, but we come home and we have the rest of the time at home. At home is seen as a place of safety and security, and can be a place of comfort where you can escape from the stress of the day. And it's one thing to be in a mentally unhealthy environment, emotionally unhealthy environment at the workplace,
Mhm.
but it's a totally different thing to be in a mentally and emotionally unhealthy environment at home.
Right.
Mhm.
Very, very important. So how important, Dr. Sarah Reeves Houston, is it to have, I'm sorry, I'm saying the whole name, good mental health at home? And I'm just going to read all these questions because you
Mhm.
go so deep into your response that I don't even want to stop it with these others. I must ask all of them at one time. How
Okay.
important is having good mental health at home? And how can you foster a good mental health environment at home? And what can you do if your mental health is challenged at home?
All right. So, take y'all to class for a little bit. We have what we call a window of tolerance.
Window.
Okay? Everybody has a window of tolerance. Window of tolerance says there's a window, and regardless of whether you're at home or at work, but you have a window in which you can function and you can manage the highs and lows of the day, and you can still get stuff done. Okay? So everything's not perfect. We haven't eradicated stress. Stress is there, but we're managing it. Okay. You get home and you find out the dog wet on the floor on your carpet, the favorite part of the rug. You get home and you realize your husband didn't take the meat out the freezer like you asked him to after he'd been home all day long and you've been at work. You get home and you realize that, you know, you didn't plan dinner, you didn't do stuff. But because you're inside of your window, you say, okay, cool. I'm going to order me a pizza. We going to put some Febreze and we going to spray that carpet and we going to sit down and we're going to watch TV as a family and we're just going to have some together time. That's being in your window. Okay. What
Mhm.
happens is that when the adversities of life, whether it's work related stuff or whether it's home stuff, get so much, they put pressure on the window and they shut the window down like that. And what that does is it bumps you out of your window. And you bump, some people bump out of their window and they become a little hostile. They're a little more combative, a little nice, nasty. They might be snappy, a little short in their responses. You know, we're all saints and friends, but we're human. And so that's where some people end up when they're not inside their window. Other people bump out of their window, they retreat, they isolate, they become comatose in a certain way where they're just not engaged with people. You are not in your window. So, where it's stress, whether it's work stress, home stress, stress, stress and trauma related things put pressure on the window and close it down, it's going to be coping mechanisms and active resilience practices that are going to open your window back up. So, what's a coping mechanism? Coping mechanisms are things that you engage in, they're activities that you do to help alleviate stress in your life. It could be your sleeping habits. Some of us need to go to bed earlier and we need to stop staying up till 11, 12 o'clock at night. If you're not getting in, I'm not talking about you, Javen. If you're not getting in a full 9, 10 hours of sleep at night, chances are you are sleep deprived. As fully functional adults, you need a full solid 9 hours of sleep
Right.
every night.
Right.
Some of us don't get enough vitamin D. Vitamin D comes from sunlight and it comes from supplements. Those of us that have melanin in our skin, the blood work is always going to come back vitamin D deficient. We just need to increase our vitamin D. Some of us need to have more physical activity. And so, from a physical activity, I'm not talking about necessarily exercise. For some people, exercising is stress inducing. Okay. New Year's resolution, you go get the gym membership, you work out for 2 hours. That first time you wake up the next morning, you can't move. That's stress inducing. That's not making you feel better about yourself because you hurting. When I say physical activity, that's taking a walk outside, that's moving your body, that's stretching, those types of things. That's what I mean by physical activity. Some of us don't get enough. And because we have all of this pent up energy from the stressors that are around us, we don't have a way to physiologically release the energy. Go for a walk. I play wiggle, wiggle, freeze with my daughter that just walked in here. We put the music on and we wiggle, 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 freeze. All of that is physical activity that gets that energy off of your system so that you can go to sleep at night. Other coping mechanisms. Some of us believe in meditation. Some of us will try, there's progressive muscle relaxation. Some of us go get massages. Massages are not cheap, that costs money. You can't do that every day. So, those kinds of things where you are engaged in activities that help release stress from your body. Stress has a psychological component and it has a physiological component. The psychological component is when we talk to people, we have conversations with friends, we journal, we go to therapy if we need to. That is dealing with the psychological implications of stress. The
Right.
physiological implications of stress come from our daily and physical activity and the things that we do to move our body to expend the energy. So, coping mechanisms. There are other ones. Some of us, we believe in retail therapy. That can become a dangerous, kind of like a slippery slope if it's not managed appropriately. Some of us like to eat ice cream or sweets or cakes and things like that. Again, that can be a slippery slope if not managed appropriately. Some of us, I've had over 21, I've saints and friends. I've had medical providers to say, well, if you're stressed, just have a glass of wine and take a hot bath. One glass of wine, I understand. When a glass turns into a bottle and it turns into a case, we have another issue.
Mm.
So when you talk about a coping mechanism, there's a question that I always push people to ask themselves: is what I'm doing to manage my stress making me feel better about myself and the situation I'm in? If it's not making you feel better about yourself and the situation you're in, it's not healthy coping. What I catch people doing is, does it make me feel better? It's a lot of stuff out here that'll make us feel good that's not good for us. And so we have to be very careful about what we're doing. So, does your coping mechanism make you feel better about yourself and the situation that you are in? Healthy coping alleviate stress no matter where it's coming from. My healthy coping mechanism is actually breathing. I do breathing meditation apps on my phone, and your brain, strangely enough, does not focus on breathing. I've been talking to you all off and on for the last 40 minutes, and I haven't told myself to inhale or exhale not once.
Mm.
It's something that the brain subconsciously does, and it takes care of us, and we don't have to think about it. So when you are stressed and you sit quietly and you focus on nothing but the feeling of breath moving in the body and out of the body, it lowers your heart rate, it lowers your body temperature, and it lowers the impact of stress. That's something that you can do in the moment. The hot bath, I do that when I get home. So you have to have different coping mechanisms, different strategies and things that you use, but you have to actively use them. You can't believe in them and not put them into play and not put them into action. So figuring out what your immediate and long-term coping strategies are going to be to help you fill your bucket. And if you can do them with somebody else, that just adds another layer of extra support for it. My daughter and I, we paint on the weekends and we create all kinds of artwork. Um, Others Day weekend, we planted flowers all in the front yard. So when I pull up to my house after a long day, I see all of God's beauty sitting in my yard and it makes me feel good and it welcomes me home. All of those are things that you do to help alleviate stressors that exist everywhere. We don't live in a world where we're going to eradicate stress. Stress is going to be a part of life. And when we don't manage it, that's what leads to poor mental health. Everything we do stems from our thinking and our thought processes. In therapy, we teach people if you want to change bad behavior or bad actions or bad, you have to change the bad patterns of thought that precipitate the behavior.
Mhm.
So when you're able to replace the bad thoughts with positive thoughts, realistic and positive thoughts, that will influence how you engage and how you interact with other people. So we gotta watch our window of tolerance. We gotta recognize when we're bumped out of our window, and then we have to do things to help open our windows back up.
So what if you're in a situation where in
Hmm.
real time, where things are happening, you recognize that, your window is
Yes.
closing or
Hmm.
maybe closed, but you're in real time.
Hmm.
Um,
Communicate. You
okay.
have to communicate. Self advocacy is a huge thing. There's some days where, I've dealt with a lot at work, meetings, on the phone, arguing, negotiating contracts, doing all kinds of stuff and all of the things in the world that we do. And I walk in the door and I just feel like my window is slapped. And when three children, a dog, and a husband all come to me at once, that is overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. And so what I have to do is take a deep breath first, and then I say, Mommy needs 5 minutes. And it's a calm thing. Mommy needs 5 minutes. Kiss everybody on the head, and I go up the steps for 5 minutes. But communication is huge. And I think part of what we do, or one of the struggles that we have, is we don't want to be vulnerable with people. And another thing I tell my staff, you work on computers, you are not one.
Mm,
So we are not robots, we are human. We have feelings, we have emotions, we have experiences, and you have to allow space for there to be a level of reaction to the things that are going on around you. You can't expect that you're going to have this regimented response every time something happens and that you're always going to be flatline. That's not possible. And I think that even in those times where we don't handle our stressors appropriately, that opens up the door for strengthening a relationship by just saying, I'm sorry. And I'm feeling this way, and I shouldn't have behaved this way, or I should have been more patient. That acknowledgement allows for people to see you as human, no matter what role you play, whether you are the matriarch, the patriarch, the boss, the manager, whomever, we're all human and we all make mistakes. So being able to extend that grace to yourself and acknowledge when you've made a mistake, it opens up door for you to extend grace to others, because we're all going to have good days. We're all going to have not so good days. And sometimes even me, with all the education that I have, I don't always manage my stress appropriately either. So So, that's just me being honest and me being real about who I am. But I do have the ability to go and apologize and make amends, because if somebody is hurt by a statement, or somebody is, inadvertently harmed, I don't want to hold responsibility for that. So I want to make sure that I apologize and acknowledge and validate where they are in that particular moment.
Yeah. And that's something I had to do actually today. Um, one of my classes, I have three, and one of them historically um, just are a challenge. And the class that's immediately after them normally catches the aftermath from that class being in there, and just me trying to regroup. And there's a question, and we're going to ask about that. Somebody's got a question here. And so today was a challenging day with that particular class. And when they left, I was just fit to be tied, just didn't know what else to. I'm talking about 90 minutes of constantly redirecting, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
So when this next class came in, and this student came right up to me
Mhm.
in the midst of all of that, and I was like, listen, I don't want to talk, you know, whatever you're going to do, just go on and do it, because I don't have nothing to say. What's wrong with you? I just don't want to talk. I want to talk. Well, I knew immediately, that I had involved her in something that she didn't have anything to do with.
Mhm.
So, in my heart, I prayed for the opportunity for her to come back, because she's a part of my class in that last class. But obviously, she wanted to do something, and I just was not at the place to even entertain what she wanted to do. So she actually came back a little later on, as I was standing in the hall, and said, asked me, Mr. Kelly, are we going to be doing something? And this is what I said to her. I said, listen, you've done nothing to me.
Mhm.
This is not something that you are responsible for. I'm just challenged from my other class.
Mhm.
And if you'll just give me a little time to get myself together, I'll be better. That was an opportunity that I took
Mhm.
to try to make her know that it wasn't her fault.
Right.
She just came in that
Mhm.
whole mix, and caught me. So I do understand that, and it can be liberating to others and yourself to be able to just admit, you know what, I had a moment. I had a moment. I'm sorry, I had a moment. I should have, uh, you know, dealt with it differently, but I didn't. And so
Mhm.
you move forward that way. So I appreciate you mentioning that, and we do ourselves good, all of us, to practice that, because we're human. We have those
Mhm.
times. We have them, and we will have them until we close our eyes.
Mhm.
But we need to know how to deal with them and how to be better.
Yep.
With There's a question here
Mhm.
that says, "What about young children who are stressed because uh, wait a minute, because this causes them to act some kind of way too?"
Yeah, so children get stressed, and children don't always have the appropriate coping mechanisms or the communication system in place to talk and discuss where they are and why they are upset. And if we can understand from a developmental perspective that children are learning how to do these things, then it can allow us to sometimes be a little more patient with them, because the majority of what children do across the lifespan, especially between the ages of 0 and 12, is developmentally appropriate. It just bothers adults. And if we, yeah, it just bothers adults, because they're learning and they're trying to figure things out, and they're trying to come to understand where are the boundaries, what are the rules, who's safe in my environment, how do I manage this? And they are working with a very limited vocabulary and of a limited communication system that is still developing. Um, just want to throw this out there. The age where the brain becomes fully developed is between the ages of about 22 to 24.
That's right.
So when you look at the behaviors of children, they are pulling off of a very limited skill set.
Mm.
And what happens is when their limited skill set meets our tired, That's when we have matches and dynamite and we have an explosion. But
Mm,
because we are the adult and we're in this authority position, we punish instead of teach. And
Mm,
that's because we've been bothered by something that probably had nothing to do with the kids. So that's another soapbox, and I can talk about children for hours, and how we mess up kids. But what we do with children when they are stressed is that we engage them in coping mechanisms the same way that we engage ourselves. We teach children how to manage, how to regulate themselves, how to recognize when they're not okay, when they have been bumped out of their own windows, and then how do we get them to calm down. So there is a three-step process to this. We call it calm, connect, and correct. You have to calm the child, and that's if you recognize a child comes to you, they are screaming, they are completely emotionally dysregulated. I have a high anxiety daughter who gets like this from time to time, and she gets overstimulated and stuff's not going her way, and she just cries, like profusely cries and just screams. And so what I have to do is hold her hands and talk very calmly and say, baby, it's okay. I need you to calm down and I need you to breathe. Do you see mommy breathing? Breathe with mommy. And then when she calms down, as she's calming down, that calmness allows me to connect with her so that she can come back down inside of her window and then tell me what's going on. And that opens up the door for communication. And then if she's exhibiting a behavior, once she's communicated where she is, then I can correct. Okay, so you're going to have times when you get upset. Mommy has times when she gets upset. It's not okay for you to slam this door in my house because you upset.
mhm,
Okay? So the next time, this is what I need you to do. That's teaching. That's discipline. It requires connection. What we tend to do is, why'd you slam that door in my house? What's wrong with you? Da 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 da. That's not helping anybody. That's actually over dysregulating the situation, and it's making the child's experience worse, and they're not listening to you. So where I talked about learning brain and survival brain, your children that you engage around, they have learning brains and survival brains too. And when they determine that an environment that they're in is not safe, it doesn't mean that somebody is physically hurting them. They are mentally and emotionally, they don't feel safe in that moment. They're not able to learn from you. And so you have to figure out, how do we find safety? I know we're coming up on the end of the hour. There's a definition that I want to leave you with, and I know that y'all are taking notes. Wellness is the ability to have safety in your mind, even when your body is not necessarily in a safe space. Wellness is the ability to have safety in your mind, even when your body is not necessarily in a safe space. And so what you want to do is, from a mental health standpoint, is you want to create safety for people in their minds. And when we have safety in our thoughts, safety in our emotions, like Javen said, you will find higher degrees of productivity at work. You will find better relationships and better community based engagement at home and in your personal life. And you will be able to manage, ride the waves, and deal with the highs and lows of life, because they're going to be there and they're not going to go away.
mhm. Javen, you want to?
no, all I have to say is amen.
You mean Javen Richardson is speechless? And
I just want my continuing ed credit after this class.
Yeah.
um, I would say only one thing. It is 100% important to have good mental health at home, because
Mhm.
that is indeed your safe space. And I would
Supposed
share
to be.
this. I call my home my incubator. This is where I incubate. It's my private chambers where I go for peace, quietness, and prayer. So it's important that your home is your secret place. So that is all that I will share. Thank you to my director, Sarah, for joining this. This means so much to me to participate with you, with one of my spiritual fathers. My heart is glad just to sit here, even if I didn't say one word. I'm just glad to be here.
Thank you, Jabin, for introducing it to them, for them to even have the opportunity to even decide to be a part. Thank you for not being selfish to add those to the list. And Dr. Reeves Houston, this experience has been priceless. So much has been said that we all will have to unpack um, to help us as we move forward. I don't think there's a single person on the line that has not been affected and touched, and maybe even looked in the mirror and saw ourselves um, tonight and through this session. And we will try to be better, and we will work to create those safe spaces and places, and make sure that we are maybe even being a resource to other people with what we've learned tonight. You know, not just helping ourselves, but even seeking to help others, and most certainly our children, um, who, as you have said, you know, actually what they're doing in many ways is normal for their mindset and their thinking, and working their way to what they need. And it's our job to teach them,
Mhm.
not not necessarily to say it's okay, but
Mhm.
to teach them what's the right way, and not just turn the other cheek and look the other way, but teach them the proper way to handle things and what to do. And so, thank you so much for that. Our line tonight has been um, filled with people sharing their comments and different things that they have learned and received tonight. And we all have been made the better because of your presence. And I would, again, encourage everybody, go back to listen to this again. Some people need to listen to it immediately after we go off, and listen again, where you can start and stop, and write or whatever you need to do to make this happen. But this has been life changing, and I just don't know what we're going to do next week with you and Miss Holiday and Javen on here. I can't even imagine how that's going to be. But this is one month and one subject and sessions that we will never forget, that we will be benefiting from moving forward as we try to put in place different things for our ministry to better serve those in our parish and those in our family or whatever. I mean, having periodic things that we do along the way, not some one time something, but periodic things that we do. And we hope maybe sometime even in the future, if your schedule permits, that we can borrow um, some of your time. We may have to put it on on our card.
Mhm.
But we just appreciate you so much, and thank you for being here. Did anybody else have any other questions? We're coming to an end, and I want to make sure that we did at least answer your questions that you had there. I was looking very intently to make sure that I didn't miss anything or anybody. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for being a part. And so we just want to pray. I want to pray after such a session as this. Just pray that God would sanction everything that's been said and impress it in our heart, and give us the willingness to try to make whatever changes and adjustments we need to make so that we can be better. Precious Father, we just thank you again tonight for this opportunity that you have given us to be able to come together. Thank you for such a powerful subject matter that touches each one of us in some place of our lives. I pray, oh God, that you would allow us to put into practice, to contemplate, meditate upon those things that have been shared and said, and then put into practice. Perhaps, God, we may not be able to do everything at one time, but even if it's little by little, help us to begin to put into practice those things that we have heard tonight, that we would be better and we would make the places that we operate and the people that we're around better. God, life continues to be what it is, and things continue to happen. But I pray that our response to those things would begin to change. Thank you for Dr. Reeves Houston. Thank you for her commitment to this field, her enthusiasm, her desire and dedication. I pray that you would continue to take her to heights and dimensions that she has not gone to before, that you would enlarge her territory, that you would increase those things around her even the more. Bless her family and the work of her hands. Thank you for that whole department, and just the things that they are doing to make people better. Now, God, all of us who have been listening, pray, oh Father, that you would just continue to bless us, even in Kenya, wherever the life and breath and the width, the depth of our voice being heard or us being seen. Bless and let this word be a blessing to all of them. Bless the children who are trying to navigate through all of this, and they are stressed and in stressful situations as well. I pray, oh Father, that you would help us to be a means to help them to cope with what they are dealing with. In the name of Jesus, we thank you and we praise you. Amen and amen. Thank
Amen.
you, Miss Gwen Bright from Tennessee. Thank you. She said she was a social worker for 50 years and she is still learning. That is so powerful. And I know I see people still coming on tonight, and we're getting ready to go off in just a few minutes, but you have the opportunity to go back and listen to this again. So, listen, I want you to give your gifts, your charitable gifts, will help us to be able to put this ministry into place as we look in the future for our mental health or our wellness ministry. This will help us to do some things that we need to do to get that in place. And I know this is being channeled through Christian education, but it's going to help us, and it'll be dispersed and whatnot in the best manner to help us to do this. So I ask you to give. You see our methods of giving there on the screen. You can give by way of Cash App. Our church general Cash App is $ New Faith FGFC, and then our ministry Christian education is $ New Faith FGFC MIN. That stands for ministries. You can mail it P.O. Box 12, Lexington, North Carolina. Zip is 27293. If you don't have Cash App, you can use Church by Mobile and just text the letters NFFGMG and text that to the number 54244, and you click send, and it will send you a bit.ly. Once you get that bit.ly, you can go ahead and follow the prompts there and get to our church app, and you'll see donate, and you click donate and you can give that way. Or you can come in person. We'd love to have you on our Sunday morning experience, 10 o'clock every Sunday morning. Come see us at 402 Oak Avenue, Lexington, North Carolina. Thank you again so much for being a part. I want you to know, New Faith, we'll be back in the pulpit this Sunday. The Lord say the same. We'll be back in the pulpit, and we're coming back with a brand new series entitled Building a Strong Church. That's what we're going to talk about, building a strong church. Several topics there that we'll be looking at. How to be strong, not in ourselves, but strong in the Lord. How to build strong faith. How to build strong relationships, and how to have a strong impact. We'll be looking at this as we move forward. this Sunday. The Lord says the same. So I look forward to being back in the pulpit. Look forward to seeing all of the saints there in Lexington. Please tell everybody, be there so we can receive this word. Thank you again, Javan, for making this possible and including your director and those that work with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah Reeves Houston, for taking the time to be a part. I hope you have a good night, and good night to everyone that is on the line.
Thank you. You all be blessed.